who are called educated illiterates. I know it sounds like an oxymoron, but in other words, the person has gone to school, has gone and had 1, 2, 3 degrees, but you look at the generality of his or her lifestyle and you wonder, you never saw such a disorganized person, such an inefficient person. Here is okay, but everything else does not coordinate. And so the answer is just not there. Sometimes you can find people who are in professions where it behoves of them to keep confidentiality, either a medical profession, a legal profession, a spiritual profession, maybe the military, maybe government, and you would have expected that these people ought to know that with this kind of job, I work in the bank, so I see people's balances, I see inflows and outflows, I see transfers, and I know that this person is overdrawn, and you would have expected that these people ought to be quiet. That doctor, that nurse, those people who do surgeries and they see things about people, their case history, and feels like that the people who have the privilege of having a one-on-one with clients, and you find that that person is unable to hold their mouth. What you tell them by 5 p.m., before it's 5:45 p.m., everybody has heard about it. That is because it's not just a one-dimensional thing that, well, if you go and learn this, everything else in your life would be holistically proper. No. There is a dimension of intervention that you and I need to shift our behavior to a holistic, proper behavior, and that's the dimension that no man can give but God. And so Paul is saying here that the things that I find I want to do, I cannot do them. There's an interesting scenario in the Bible. I know it's in the book of 1 Kings. There are 2 books like that in the Bible, 1 Kings and 2 Kings, just like there is 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel, 1 Chronicles, 2 Chronicles, 1 Peter, 2 Peter. There are a couple of books like that in the Bible. But in 1 Kings, there's a story about a king called Ahab. Ahab was just an evil king. And there was a man in his realm called Naboth. Naboth had a vineyard that he inherited from his ancestors, and he planted it all nice, but then King Ahab wanted his vineyard and asked Naboth, and Naboth said, no, this is sentimental value, this is inheritance, this has been handed down to me, this is what I keep in memory of my late mother, father, or this is my own part of the inheritance of our kindred. And it says King Ahab sulked and went into his bedroom, and he had a wife called Jezebel. Jezebel in any form means evil. And Jezebel came to him and said, why are you sulking? Are you not the king of Israel? Can you not take what you want? And she said to him, don't worry. If tomorrow by this time Naboth's head is on his neck, then I am not Jezebel. And so she went and she got Naboth executed just for a vineyard, just for a little plantation. But you know, God is a God of justice, and the prophet came to Ahab and said, the same dogs that licked the blood of Naboth will lick the blood of Jezebel. And of course, she also died. But what are we talking about? We are talking about the fact that here was Ahab. He wasn't content. And you can see that sometimes you want more shoes, you want more clothes, you want more things because you look elsewhere and it looks like somebody else has more than you. You are in a rat race all by yourself, you are competing all by yourself, and the truth is, how many shoes can you put on at a time? How many cars can you drive at a time? How many beds can you sleep in one night? The answer to all that is going to be one, and one. But it's the divine intervention, because there is a factor, ladies and gentlemen, we call it the sin nature. In some quarters they call it original sin. That means when Adam and Eve fell, sin became embedded and encoded in our DNA. So we became vicious, we became fighters, we became grabbers, we became greedy. Whatever somebody has, I must have, and if I can't get it, nobody will get it. We see tendencies of that lifestyle in children, and we go through all kinds of things to break it away from them. We threaten them about their teacher, but definitely in Alabolese teacher. I will tell your father. We do all that. We do punishments. We do timeouts. We do groundings. We do rewards mechanisms. We do all that because at the end of the day, we want them to turn out as decent members of society. And yet while we are doing that for them, the expectation is that they are thinking that we are what we are trying to let them be, that we are not totally different from what we are trying to let them be. We are telling them to give. If they don't give, God wouldn't like them, but we don't give. We are telling them that they should try to keep their word, but we don't keep our word. And all that needs a divine intervention from God. Why do we behave the way we behave? Why are some nations more industrialized than others? Somebody will say, well, they have the wealth. Yes and no. Somebody will say they have the liquid gold, the black gold, oil. Yes and no. Because a nation's prosperity is not necessarily in its natural resources. A nation's prosperity is in its human resources that is so galvanized, engineered, so astutely, holistically ready that it knows how to use the natural resources and exploit it to the betterment of everybody, or like we have in the national hymn of the Republic of the Gambia, for the common good. Because oil in itself is not evil, gold is not evil, diamond is not evil. We have what they call blood diamonds. They don't have blood on them. We have what they call conflict diamonds. They don't fight each other. It's people that have made them blood diamonds. And sometimes it's shocking to know that if everybody was just going to cool down and be very honest and be very content, there would be enough diamonds in those countries for everybody in that nation to live properly. But what do we see? Few people take it, and nations like that go to war, and everybody loses. And a statistician and a demographics expert said that, one demographic expert said, when nations go to war, it takes about 25 years, almost a generation, for them to come out of it. Because it's not just infrastructural development, it's a mindset, it's bitterness, it's mass graves, it's the pain of seeing what was yours legally being taken away from you because somebody had the power, assuming that you didn't have, and they held something in their hand that you could not fight back against. And ladies and gentlemen, it's never the product. If we say Coca-Cola is great, if we say a particular product is fantastic, if we say cheesecake from a certain place is wonderful, if you say Italian shoes are fantastic, people travel to certain countries of the world just to enjoy a particular product. You know, you want a beautiful Starbucks coffee. You want to travel all the way to Seattle, Washington State in the United States, where the very first Starbucks shop still is, just by the fish market. And it's not the coffee. It's not the grain. It is the grower. His attitude, her attitude, their sense of ownership, their commitment, their consistency, their desire for excellence, their understanding of healthy competition and fair trading, by the way. It's that. So it's never the product as it is the people. And that is why people get the product that they deserve in any way. In any way. Sometimes we all complain, hey, we don't like this kind of thing, we don't like this product, we don't like this thing, but we created it. We created it. Organization doesn't happen by itself. Efficiency doesn't happen by itself. Sometimes we look at things like the opening nights of the Olympics or World Cup or the 84th Grammy Awards, or certain things that include people doing all these wonderful formations or ballerinas, and you get so excited, you clap, you deep a sigh, you taking a sigh, a deep sigh, like, you know, and sometimes we make the mistake, particularly in Africa, we say tubab, forgetting that efficiency has nothing to do with color.